kills and then open the site up, and he's still there to call.
Yeah, when they're winning, those eco rounds and the gamble stacking correctly, or the retakes that kept going on down, those are like crunch frags at that point, right? If you win or lose that duel, you probably win or lose that round. And there were certain plays that he was making that, he didn't have to communicate to his team to do. He could just do it himself.
Exactly.
And you've got, when you have him getting, okay, so in this round right here, this was picked up. This was the eco. He's pushed close. Gratisfaction didn't even know he was that close in that scenario. So those are 2 huge kills, and he just continued to find impact throughout this game. So Nexa, as an individual, being such a young player and such a young in-game leader, still has a lot of room to grow. And if he can continue to have performances that are even half as good as this, then G2 start to look dangerous.
I'm wondering, how do you guys see like the longevity of that fact that an in-game leader can like grow their skill set as an in-game leader, and on top of that keep fragging as much? Usually does it drop off one or the other?
It definitely helps if you have his style of team. That's the thing. It's very rare. Like when Clив occasionally has had the odd tournament where he was actually the MVP, that's basically an outlier for all of history. It doesn't happen if you're a tactical in-game leader usually, because so much of your mind is on every single aspect of the dynamics of players and spots and what the other team's doing. So I think you need sort of a team a bit like this. You need a team that's going to be a little bit looser. People are playing, hopefully they have a lot of skill and can make their own decisions. I would say he could continue it in this squad. The question is, can G2 be one of the best if they play that style? That's what I would worry about.
And once again, we'll just touch on that communication again. If they come like that in a game which is a little bit closer, or they're back and forth in those clutch rounds, they probably lose, because the breakdown of communication in some of those situations, we heard they were just talking over each other in the mid round. It sounded like some of the things Nexa was calling was just getting completely disregarded.
Short-circuited a few times.
So that can't happen, when you're talking about if they make it to the in the upper bracket final tomorrow. That can't happen, right? They need to be able to have their communication a little bit clearer, making sure that they're on top of those situations. But I want to look at that CT side from them. They made things very frustrating for the 100 Thieves guys. They were constantly going for fights, and that can be allowed when your individuals are hitting shots, right? Just throw a quick flash and take a lot of duels, and you could see in the mid rounds, 100 Thieves, they were setting up for executes. Next minute, they're getting pushed and having to fight, and that just made it so awkward. Making it onto bomb sites, getting the bomb down, that's fine, but when you're in number disadvantage and you're trying to defend, that's where the problems were, and G2 did a fantastic job of playing the game on their terms.
Yeah, and we see it there. We, of course, heard talking about Kenny and giving him a bit more responsibility again, of course, on that AWP as well. And we also heard in the post-game interview, that's only 10% of what he can do. I don't know if that is true, but, we're seeing some glimpses of that classic Kenny, like Chad dubbed it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, not only is he hitting all the flick shots here, but I think actually it was a lot of the CT frags really decided the game, because when you have a player like Kenny, with the way that he plays the CT AWP angles, where he'll just peek into you, that just cripples your confidence if you're the T side. If you think he's going to hit that like 70% of the time, you start thinking very differently about how the map is, where there's space on it. So I feel as though when he's got a baseline level like this, G2's going to be in any match.
Yeah, and if they can get him to maintain this level, that's what's scary, right? Because Kenny had periods of time where he was good for very long periods of time, but he hasn't been himself in a couple of years.
So many AWP kills.
Yeah, that's 31 kills, so what, an average of 15 over both maps from him. And then you think about when they started getting back into that Dust 2 game on their CT side, was the double AWP setup with him and Amanek. So it's all kind of clicked for G2 here, and it's a really good sign for the team, because Hunter was somebody who I thought was probably going to be having more of an impact. He wasn't even one of the top 2 fraggers, right? So if they still have that crutch of Hunter to fall back onto in the future, it's starting to look like the talent is deep. And that is obviously contingent on Nexa having that level of performance.
Even though, listen, yes, we should definitely praise the G2 performance. They did everything they needed to win. I will say, I'll go back again to actually what Kenny S himself said in an interview before this tournament with HLTV.org, which is, he said 100 Thieves, what makes them hard to play against is they're a team that make very few mistakes. You cannot say that in this match. In this match, there were a lot of scenarios where I won't say they gave it away, but they opened the door. And each time G2 had the frags to come and take the game from them.
Yeah, let's take a look at the bracket, because as said, of course, nothing is lost for 100 Thieves, but it could become very, very dicey. As said, they have historically had really rough matches against Evil Geniuses, so they're going to hope that they're not up versus them. So what do we want to see then? They've got a day now. Chad, what were the biggest points of contention for you?
I just think they need to clean up some of those post-plant situations, right? They were being a little bit too lackadaisical, giving away kills, peeking behind smokes, not expecting to get spammed. Those little situations right there is what they would need to fix, because the rest of their game, they were outplaying G2. Like their CT side on Dust 2 was fantastic, the way that they were taking territory. And a thing that does get them into trouble, and this has kind of been historic with them when they were Renegades as well, is when they go for the force buys, if they win like after that pistol area, they're conceding 3 to 4 rounds every time and then getting back into the game. They were lucky in the Dust 2 first half that they won a full rifle round without an AWP and without full utility, right? That's not how they want to be approaching it. They're very structured. You want Grat on the AWP, you want your riflers, you want your full utility to lock things down. So they play a very risky game with the force buys in the early stages.
But they were unlucky with the crash? on this too.
That didn't help at 13-13, and I think a lot of frustration there probably carried on through, but they still made the second map competitive. And look, if you're going to hang it on that, and then you're going to go and lose the second map, then you don't deserve to win the series anyway.
That's not a winner's mindset,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you've got to put it behind you.
But
yeah.
with the OG versus the EG game we have coming up, I just hope that EG don't start in the same fashion of what we've seen from all the top dogs. I want one of the top teams to come out and go, hey, look, you know, we're not messing around.
I think that's an apt point, because when you say, you know, 100 Thieves, they know their fundamentals. We've known that for a long time, and usually they don't make the mistakes when they have to finish it out. And a thing or two has to do with not being warmed up completely. So we'll see if EG can break kind of the curse that we've seen from Astralis and now again from 100 Thieves, but we'll see. We're going to take a bit of a break. It's actually a long one, but you can go out and get some dinner. We'll be back on air at 7:10 London time, which is 8:10 in the rest of Europe. So we'll see you then for EG versus OG.